Okay, cool. So I am super, super excited to have Mitch on with us tonight. I wanted to kind of chat a little bit about some things that we've been talking about as far as in the champions, about kind of some of the things that are coming down the pipeline, the trainings that we had at Moore, just maybe some of the things that I see that mindsets and some challenges that we've had. And I know that a lot of people are working through some of those things and are super excited to like learn some skills and some tips to kind of move past things that they might have been stuck in for a little bit. Attitudes, mindsets, situations, frustrations come in. That's very typical in a business like this. It's not always sunshine and roses. We always say it's simple and easy, and it is in a way. But anything worse, something is going to be challenging at times. And so I think it's important to kind of hear from people like Mitch, because he's very skilled and very gifted, and helping us maybe see things that we are not quite seeing, or maybe see them in a different way that can be positive and encouraging instead of life sucking, if that makes sense. Best words I'm going to use. So I was talking to Mitch kind of and kind of sharing my heart on what I wanted from the Zoom. And I know a lot of times there's a few things that happened. We got into this company, it moved lightning fast. And so you work super, super fast, and some things get like fall through the cracks, or maybe you work really, really hard and then you get to a point and you've hit champ, or maybe you're just about to hit champ and you start getting into like a management mode instead of kind of sticking with phase one activities that got you to where you're going. And then you get into it being a stressful situation where you feel like you're managing people and dealing with issues instead of like, being excited and just sharing ketones and the benefits. And so I don't want us to feel that way. And I don't want my leaders to feel that way. When you start getting frustrated, or when you get stuck in management mode, Brian talks about sometimes disillusionment can come in. If you start facing something that's difficult, or things don't necessarily go perfect and smooth, which they're not ever going to, because number one, we're a brand new company that's literally on fire. So we're kind of trying to catch up because we're moving so fast. There's going to be hiccups and bumps and learning curves along the way. So sometimes, excuse me, when you get frustrated, then your judgment starts to get clouded, or maybe you kind of get a negative mindset. And those things will keep you where you're at instead of being able to move you forward faster. And so my goal as a leader, and as your friend and as your champ, is to always be moving you forward faster. Like always making sure that you have the tools and the skill set to be able to move forward faster to get to your goals, whatever that is. Maybe your goal is rank 3, maybe your goal is legend. Whatever your goal is, I want to get you there further faster. So I know that even for myself, there's times that I let situations kind of cloud my judgment or dictate my mood, instead of pushing through those things and kind of seeing them for what they really are, instead of making them 10 times worse because I'm upset, or maybe I don't get my way in a customer service situation, or I think things should have a different outcome, and then I just get really mad. And that sense where I'm focused, and it kind of slows me down, and I don't want that to happen. So it's easily done. Also, I think one of the worst things that we could do is we get caught up in this comparison game, because now we have so many people moving to the right and the left, and they're moving so fast, and now we're being able to see them. And sometimes we watch that, and even though we're super excited for them, there's that little small person inside that starts saying, oh, well, I must suck then because I'm not doing that. She's doing that so much better than I am, or so much faster, and maybe that means that I'm not good enough, or maybe that means she's better than me, or she's getting something that I'm not, or she has a better leader, or he has a better leader, or he's the favorite, he's the chosen person, or all of those things are like so normal. Like we all are human and we think that way, but running and working as fast and as hard as we are, those kind of mindsets and those kind of thoughts will stunt where we want it to go. It'll stunt our movement and it will keep us from moving further faster. So Mitch is just super good with stuff like this. I'm a blue, so I'm horrible at this stuff. I'm always just like, okay, let's just go have wine and everything will be fine. So I'm not one to like, walk us through those things. Michael and Natalie have had to kind of like steer me and say, okay, I get this. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but get a grip, like get it together. Like we need to get you together because you're frustrated and you're stuck where you are and you're not moving forward. So I have to do it. I have to check in with my people and if they hold me accountable. And Mitch is kind of one of those people for me, and I know that he will be that for us as a team. He's very willing and able and has a lot of stuff to share. So those are the kind of things that I know that a lot of us are struggling with as leaders. You see those things in your team with some of your teammates. So I just want Mitch to kind of share with us and just kind of talk us through some of those things. I know he's going to be doing this more with the entire company as we kind of work into what Brian shared at More with the LCD training and the disillusionment and how things kind of come into play and how those things keep us from moving forward faster. So Mitch is going to be doing this a lot more. So I'm excited that he's willing to come on with us tonight. And I know that y'all are so loving Mitch when he does the huddle calls. You guys are like so attentive and like on fire, and you always want to hear from Mitch. So I'm just so humbled and thankful that he's on with us, just my team tonight, and willing to chat with us. So, hey Mitch, how's it going? Oh, let me see. I gotta unmute you. There we go.
And you're just sharing. It's so endemic. I mean, it takes place all throughout the company, but it also takes place all throughout life, right? So when I'm hearing you speak, a part of me is going, wow, I can see how it just keeps permeating our subconscious mind and ultimately our conscious thoughts. And there's something just so fascinating about that for me, because so much of society will tell us that like there's a stigma attached to when you're challenged or when you're what I call coming up against your resistance. And the reality is like, to me, like that's the exciting part. When I come up against my resistance, that's where breakthroughs happen. That's where you hit a plateau and then you get to the next level. That's when you're challenged to get someplace. So I call those moments, thank you God moments. I'm like, I get super excited. Some people say, well, like, when I get triggered about stuff, I get excited because to me, that's the opening and that's the opportunity to heal something and to move forward. And I think the first question I really want people to consider when they get triggered and they move into what we call I'm upset because fill in the blank, right? Is to ask yourself the question, what do I get from this behavior? What do I get from this behavior? And a lot of times we go, well, obviously don't get anything from it. And I go, well, no, none of us do anything without the intention of getting something. We might not like what we get. We might not be thrilled with what we get, but we're getting something. I get to be small. I get to disappear. I get to be the victim. I get to be whatever, right? So we're always getting something from it. So asking yourself that question is really important because part of the LCD leadership training is about your willingness to take responsibility, personal responsibility. Now, responsibility is your actions, your words, and your behavior, okay? Without judgment and without blame, without fault. It's my fault. The problem is me, right? The goal is responsibility is about, and that's what really leadership is responsibility is about being able to look at that and say, okay, so what am I getting from this behavior? I'm obviously getting something. So our ability to self-assess in the moment is going to be really powerful for us moving forward, not only for us to be able to manage our mental and emotional states, also to be able to support people, right? I can't coach somebody unless I'm able to coach myself. I don't want to be in a position where I'm enabling somebody and I'm just trying to put out their fire for them, because then all of a sudden I become the fire putter outer, and then everybody comes to me to put out the fires. And what happens is, like, you say, well, I would say, well, what do you get from being that person? Well, I get adrenaline and cortisol running through. I get to be in fight or flight all day. I get this false sense that I'm really accomplishing something. And then you get to use the language that I talk about, like, oh, I'm crazy busy. I'm so crazy busy. But you're not really doing anything. You're not really accomplishing anything. You just become that person that people come to put out the fire. So what's feeding is I say, well, what do you get from that? And you go, obviously not very much. And it's like, to me, it's like bullshit. You get plenty from that. You get to be the savior. You get to feel valuable. You get to feel like you matter in this world. That's what we're all searching for. We want to know that we matter. We want to know that we're loved. We want to know that we're appreciated. We want to know that we're here for some reason. And all of this stems from our family of origin. It's like, how did we find love, or the illusion of love, in our families when we were younger? Oh, I'm the one who does everything. I'm the caretaker. That's how I got my love. I'm the one who says yes to everybody. I'm the one who puts out the fires. And what happens is, and I think that's what the beauty about being in this business is all about, is you can hide in a job, but you're going to come up against yourself and your resistance when you're an entrepreneur and you're in this business. But that's the beauty of it, from my perspective. That's the opportunity. That's the chance for you to get to the next level. I talked about it in Salt Lake, that you can hide in a job. Any of us who have held jobs, and I'm the first to admit that in the past I haven't really been great at holding a job, because I do it really well for like 90 days and everybody loves me. And then I start asking like ridiculous questions like, where's health insurance? It was supposed to kick in 30 days ago. And everybody goes, shut up, Mitch, you got a job, man, just shut up. I'm like, but they told me we're going to get health insurance. So people used to look at me like I was nuts. So I was never really very good at the employee for any length of time. But everybody knows that when you're an employee, you can figure out how to hide in your job. You pretty much know how to. You can't hide here. You can disappear. You can do busy work by putting out fires. You can disappear and stop returning phone calls, stop returning text messages, and just kind of wander off. You can do that. But the beauty to me is that when you work in this kind of industry, is if you want to get to that next level, you're going to find that the resistance points are the same resistance points that you've always had. It's just the question is whether or not this is the place where you decide that you're going to dig in. I always say the universe is like the Verizon wireless guy. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It's like, what are you listening to? Are you ready to? Are you invested in the story, or are you invested in the solution? Because the story is very attractive. One of my greatest compliments I ever got was there was a period of time when I was working with this series of divorced women living in Princeton, New Jersey. And they'd all gotten married in their 20s, and then here they were, mid 40s, getting divorced, trying to figure out what they're doing next. And so Friday night ritual was go out and have a glass of wine and bitch about their ex-husbands and all the guys that they're dating. So they started working with me, and we started talking about responsibility, not in the leadership sense, but leading themselves. We talked about responsibility, right? Whenever you point the finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. I basically took that away from them. So these like women were like pissed at me. Like, we can't even go out and do what we normally did on Friday night. We actually have to think about other things to talk about that are actually uplifting or actually forward thinking. So you keep coming up against your resistance and stuff, and you're going to come up against your resistance here. The question then becomes, what do you want to do with it? Now, I always say when you get stuck, And I know everybody can relate to getting stuck, and you've actually heard yourself say, God, I just feel so stuck. So here's what stuck is. Stuck is when what you want comes head to head with what you believe. What you want, I really want to blow this business up. I really want to become a legend. I want to support thousands and thousands of people. But I believe it's not possible. I believe that I don't have the strength. I believe that I'm not smart enough. I believe that I'm not talented enough. And guess what always wins? What you believe. You can try and overpower it for a period of time, but the belief system is so powerful and so strong that what you believe will ultimately win out. So to me, that's the beauty of it. So when I see that I'm getting stuck, or I see that I'm coming up against my resistance, I know that something is not breaking down, it's about to break through. And how do I want to be with that in the moment? Do I want to look for the story that tells me why I can't? Because boy, oh boy, I can do that. Any of us can do that. That's our default. Like we can go there without even realizing we've done that. I was in Salt Lake. I came, full transparency, I came from taking care of my mom who's dying to Salt Lake City. Like 4 days of not sleeping, taking care of my mom, processing a lot of stuff, feeling like a 10-year-old boy losing my mom. And then I show up in Salt Lake City where like I'm supposed to be an adult. And people are coming up to me and asking me like crazy adult questions. And sometimes, I mean, I remember one time we were up in Brian's suite and we were talking about what everybody was going to do on stage. And I was kind of back and forth between like my adult self and my 10-year-old. I was like bouncing around. Like it was crazy. And everybody looked at me and goes, God, Mitch, you know, you just always stay so calm. You know, like nothing rattles you. And inside I'm rattled because sometimes I'm the adult, sometimes I'm 10. And I said, well, no, it's really about just my ability to have the awareness, to take responsibility for where I'm at, to have the awareness of where I am, and to manage my mental and emotional state. And here's the key, to do so without judgment. Judgment is the killer. Judgment is the voice or voices that from time to time tell you that you're not talented enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not handsome enough, that you're not tall enough, that you're not skinny enough, whatever that is, the not enoughness, right? The judgment is the place that ultimately holds you back. So it's ultimately about looking at those moments and saying, well, like, hey, I love when I come up against my resistance. I love when I get stuck. How else do you grow? How else do you get to the next level? I mean, if you can figure it out and you have suggestions, please write to me. Like I'll rewrite my entire methodology of how I work with people. I just haven't been able to figure that out because I don't believe that's what it is. I believe we're here to be challenged. I believe that we're here to come up against our resistance. And then we're at what I call a choice point. Do I want to break through this, or do I want to get swallowed by the stories of why I can't and why I won't and why I'm not talented enough? It's always a choice point. So I look at these situations, and, you know, we were talking about before about even like the comparison game. People play that all the time. Well, I've been here, you know, a year, and somebody comes in and crushes the compensation plan, the performance plan, and gets to rank 10. I can't believe it, you know? And I look at it and go, wow, how cool is that? Like, took Mike Rutherford a year plus to do it, and then somebody comes in and does it in 90 days. Guess what's going to happen? At some point, somebody's going to come in and do it in 15 days. You watch. That's the way it works. So you can play the comparison game, or you can realize that you're experiencing what you're going through, and this is your time, this is your journey, this is your path, and look at those things and go, holy crap! Like that is so cool that somebody's able to do that. Well, that means that if that person can do it, that means that I could do it. And that means that somebody I may find that comes into my team can do it. And this is my journey. These are my awarenesses. These are my places where I come up against my resistance. It's mine. But I want to look at it, and I want to encourage people to look at it and look at the bigger picture, because comparison game is really a complete and utter absence of gratitude. It's just like you've completely fallen out of gratitude. Truth of the matter is, first things first, you've got a pulse, right? That's the first exercise I do in the morning is I get up and I check to see if I have a pulse. Because if I don't, it's probably not going to be that great of a day, just saying. But that's the reminder. I'm here. I've been given another day. What do I want to do with it? I don't think for a second that my day is just going to be in every area of my life, just flowing in this perfect ideal scenario. And I don't want people to think that part of the comparison game is not just about what people are accomplishing, but also thinking that somehow people don't have stuff. That Michael Rutherford doesn't have stuff. That Mitch Newman doesn't have stuff. You want to see me get triggered? Come by in the morning when both my kids wake up. You want to see where my work is? We all have stuff. That's the way it works. That's what we're here to work through. That's what we're here to transition and transform, if we want to. If you want to get to that next level. If you want to be disillusioned, you can do that here too. If you want to be disillusioned and be coachable, that's awesome. If you want to be disillusioned and kind of just be kind of like a mental, emotional terrorist and blow yourself up and take a lot of people with you, yeah, you can do that too. That's here. We try and do our best to weed those people out because they're just not really happy here. We don't need them to take other people with them in a way that's skewed towards upset and blame and victim and all that stuff. Disillusionment somehow got a bad rap. I get disillusioned from time to time. Everybody gets disillusioned from time to time. The leadership training is about understanding and be able to, like we talked about earlier, like that self-assessment. Where am I as a leader? Where am I within myself, leading myself? Got to be able to lead yourself before you can lead other people. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before assisting other people. Because you're not really very good to anybody when you don't do that. So, as I said earlier, do your best not to think of disillusionment or upset or a negative thought or a negative feeling as something that you have to get through, that you have to get past. It's there for a reason. It's attempting to tell you something. It's presenting you with something. The question then becomes, well, what do you want to do with it? Here's the easiest thing. All your stories that got you to this point, just start rattling them off and replaying them and disappear. That's easy. Like, all of us can do that without even realizing we've done it. Like, that's how programmed it is into our subconscious mind. That's our default. Or see the stories, see the upset as information. That it's actually trying to tell us something that we can then take and realize, well, wait a second. I don't want to keep doing that. Look at people on our team from time to time who will somehow think that they're smarter than the system that is already working. I love those people. I love them, provided they're coachable. But guess what? If they were so smart, they would have already gotten what it is that they came here to get. That's a form of sabotage. Where I think I'm smarter than the system that's already working. You can't get to where you want to go with the same tools that never got you there. Holy cow. Hair on the back of my neck just went up. Write that down. You just can't. You got to show up with you got to show up willing to learn new tools. You got to show up willing to learn a system. You got to be willing to do the same thing over and over again and create mastery over time and repetition. And some days are going to suck. They just are. And they had the chance to also suck so good. Because when I'm running, I'm upset because that's an opportunity for my growth and healing. Every time. So when somebody calls me up and says, starts rattling off stuff and whatever, they're just launching. So what's going on? And I always say people leave with their 10 best stories. And it's usually about why they can't, why they won't, why it's not happening, so forth and so on. So I'll say to them, are you planning to jump or do you want me to talk you off the ledge? Just let me know. Well, no, I'm calling you for a reason. Okay, well then stop case building and let's kind of rise above the squawking. The eagle, I always talk about the eagle and the crows fly together until the crows start squawking and the eagle just goes like this. I'm not listening to this nonsense. So as leaders, leading yourself, you have to be able to start to what I call observe your squawking. Observe what it is that you're squawking about. And I always start it with, well, that's interesting. Why do I do that? Because I'm not my thoughts and I'm not my feelings. And you're not your thoughts and you're not your feelings. So what would it be like, provided you believe that premise, which I 1000% do, to be the observer of it and say, well, that's interesting. I'm thinking about how do I get out of this Zoom call because I don't feel like talking to people. Just start it off with, well, that's interesting. Sometimes I do it where I'm like, I imagine, I don't do this in public because it's people will call the police, but I'll like in my office, I'll turn to myself as if I'm sitting next to myself right now. I'll go like this. So is that the story you want to go with? It's a story. It's all story. Disillusionment is a story. It's just simply your past creeping into your present moment. Your past is just creeping into your present moment. Trying to find a way to tell you why you can't do this. Trying to find a way to tell you that, you're not moving fast enough. I always say when you start hearing the judgment, the key judgment word is should. I should be making more money. I should be further than I am. I call it shoulding all over yourself. You got to stop that. But that's the judgment piece. Why should you be anywhere but right here, right now? I'm not anywhere but right here, but right now. It's exactly where I'm supposed to be. So you are where you are on your journey, and get over it. From time to time, you are going to become disillusioned. From time to time, I get disillusioned. And you think it's really interesting because you think, well, the solution to not being disillusioned, if I can just get to rank 7 or get to rank 8 or get to rank 9. I love that one. Not working. So here's what happens. When you get to a next level, there's a different level of pressure that you put on yourself because now you're at this level where there's a story running of the expectation that Brian has or somebody has of me or my team has of me in order to get to the next level, because I'm running from this story that I don't even know how I got here in the first place because I really don't deserve it. So now I have to work twice as hard, move twice as fast, and be on twice as on guard and on point because, I don't even know that I deserve this. I had an idea when I came in. I didn't know this was going to be a business. I found a product, right? Because there was no compensation plan when I came in. I had an idea, like if I could I had like a dollar amount in my head. Because honestly, I never made any money in this industry. I just didn't, it was my own evolution. It was the companies I was with. It was a combination of stuff. It just wasn't happening. I learned a lot. I basically looked at it like I was paying a lot of money for an education, right? Without a scholarship. So it was all out of pocket. So in my mind, Brian one time said to me in front of a room full of people, "What's the most amount of money that you ever made in a month?" And I said, $1,350. I didn't really even make it, because when I look back on it, I really didn't make it because of buying product and travel and insisting I was supposed to buy this or do that. There's just no way in the world that I made money in this industry prior to this company. So I had an idea about a certain amount of money that I wanted to make when I was here. Well, gosh, if I could make, I don't think I was at God. I could make $10,000 a month. That would be off the charts. Well, we're all provers here, so I can say this. Well, I blew past that pretty quickly. And then I thought, well, okay, well, what's my next level? Like, where's the next place to go? So then I did that, and then I blew past that. And then all of a sudden I go, well, gosh, there's a different level of responsibility now. There's a different opportunity to step up. Do I want to step up? And do I want it to look like that? What do I want it to look like? So I've sat with people who've ranked up really fast, gone really fast. And I say, well, how did you get there? And they go, I have no idea. But what they're really saying is, I have no idea, and I'm scared out of my mind it's all going to go away. So you could sit there and say, gosh, I'd pay any amount of money to have that problem, that challenge. Trust me, you're just not there yet. We talked about this in the leadership training because it happens. When you hit rank 6, there's this level of excitement and enthusiasm, and all of a sudden, and we know people, and maybe some of you have been here, where you hit rank 6 and you just think it's going to keep continuing and it's going to go, and I'm looking at cars and I'm going to go out next month and we'll get the car next month, and then all of a sudden you drop back down to 5. And then you go and do that again the second month, maybe a third month. You start to get disillusioned. It's okay. Be coachable, right? You want those people to be able to say, hey, you want to be able to identify them and say, hey, listen, I know you were super excited to hit 6 and then saw it continuing. Just want you to know it's very, very common. It's not an unusual circumstance to drop back down, because sometimes it's just a big pump up of volume and it's very transactional. And the people that come in actually don't really do what you think they're going to do. And you thought it would continue, so you thought, well, I'll coast a little bit and I'll go into management mode, and you drop down to 5. Become disillusioned. Then you get to rank 7. And you think, wow, this is unbelievable. Yeah, I'm just not really confident that I can leave my job just yet. I mean, I'm right there, but I really need to get to 8, or at least need to get to 9 to be able to do that. And then you feel the pressure from your family. Then you feel the pressure from work, and you realize, God, if only if I had more time, I could get to 8. And then you go through this push-pull thing with your regular job. Then maybe you don't get to 8 right away. Maybe it's a couple months. Maybe it's longer than a couple months. You become disillusioned. You get to 8. You think, oh, this is great now. Now I'm home. Now this is crazy. This is home sailing. And all of a sudden you realize, wow, 8 to 9 is a pretty big jump. How am I ever going to make that jump? So you start thinking about it. You start thinking about it. You start thinking about it. You start playing it over and over in your mind. And guess what creeps into your head? It's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to take you like 6 months. I mean, if you're lucky. Maybe you won't go. You know what? Maybe you should just be happy that you made it to rank 8. Maybe just see if you can just start managing other people's businesses and just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop enrolling people, because if I could just get X, Y, and Z and push them to 7 or push them to 8, wow. And then that's not happening, and you become what? Disillusioned. The disillusionment, part of it doesn't stop. The coming up against your resistance, part of it doesn't stop. Believe me, I talk to people who make a serious amount of money in this industry. They have the same thoughts as somebody who's making a fraction of their money. You don't believe it's possible. I got here by luck. I'm lucky to be here. I really don't have the skill set. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. God bless Mandy Mitchell. Funniest thing she ever said to me, and the most honest thing she ever said to me. I said, Mandy, so what did you do? You know, because everybody's asking me, ask Mandy, what did she do? What did she do? And her response was this. She goes, I have no idea. All I know is I didn't shower for 6 days. Like, that's the best story she had on how she did it. She didn't shower for 6 days. So it doesn't really matter. Money is energy that will chase after you. When you believe that you deserve it and you're invested in supporting other people in acquiring it as well. And your journey is going to look different than my journey and everybody else's journey, because it's yours. And you're going to come up against your resistance, and you're going to get disillusioned, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to have what I called earlier a choice point. The story will either bury you or lift you up. What do you want to do? Because the truth is, it's not one story. It's a series of stories. It's a series of voices in your head that just kind of bully you and gang up on you. So, like me, you can turn to yourself and say, so is that the story you want to go with? I'm okay with that if that's the story you want to go with. Because I have to remind myself it's a story. Here's a thought. Imagine, God forbid, you fell and hit your head. And you woke up and you had amnesia. And all you could remember was who you love and who loves you. And somebody would say, hey, you want to do this business with me? Okay. What do I have to do? Well, I'm going to tell you what to do. Will you just follow what I tell you what to do and you'll be great? Yes, okay. You'd have no frame of reference for failing. There would be no old story of I'm not good enough. There wouldn't be a story about what happened in your previous companies, or what happened with a previous company and the CEO, or whatever stories you would be a blank canvas. You could build anything you want. We don't have that luxury. The question, though, is can you use your stories to lift you up rather than bury you? Can you use the stories when you get disillusioned from time to time because we all do, and ask the story, like, what are you here to tell me? What am I getting from this behavior? The greatest thing you can do is pause. It's not a race. The greatest thing you can do is pause and ask yourself those questions. Because if you want to do the LCD training, you're going to be it's going to be very much impressed upon that you're going to need to do a self-assessment to get the ball rolling. Where are you with yourself? How well do you lead yourself? What are the points of resistance that you noticed in the past have come up and from time to time appear again? Because here's the beauty. Once you learn how to self-assess and then coach yourself through it, and we're going to teach you how to do it, then you're going to know how to support other people. Then you're going to know that coming up against your resistance, being disillusioned, is always going to happen from time to time. And the goal is just to make sure that when you're supporting somebody, that they're actually coachable. I always say to people, are you open to feedback? And sometimes people go, mm-hmm. I go, yes. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. Okay. I wait for the yes. Well, I have some ideas and some thoughts about how I can best support you. And here they are. And then you're going to find out whether or not they're coachable or not. Then you're going to find out whether or not they're going to be willing to follow what it is that you're telling you, or they're going to just try and punch holes in what you're saying. You're going to be able to identify that some people are not coachable. Somebody said to me a long time ago, you know, Mitch, at some point you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to be right or happy. I didn't like that. I wanted both. I want to be happy. Tell me what to do. Do this, this, and this, and then watch and see if they go do it. It's giving a directive. So some people are going to be super excited, ready to go. Here's what I want. Here's where I want to go. Tell me what to do to get there. You're going to love those people. But then you're going to direct them, and then you're going to see what happens. Do they follow through? Do they come back disillusioned? So there's an inherent beauty in what we do, because how you show up here is how you show up in your life. I always tell my clients that I'm going to make you a quadruple threat with the skills and tools I'm going to teach you, because you're going to learn how to be in your relationship, not only with your spouse, but also with your kids and at your workplace and with your friends, because it's all the same tools. Everything that I talk to people about, everything that I'm sharing with you here, is the same tools that I would share with a couple. Here's the difference. The difference is what's at stake. If your pressure is on you to get out of your job and replace your income so you can do this full time, that's what's at stake. If the pressure is to save your marriage, to work on that, that's what's at stake. So stop seeing disillusionment, please, as a negative. Stop seeing coming up against your resistance as a negative. Stop seeing a thought that you would view as disturbing as a negative. Stop viewing an uncomfortable feeling or emotion as a negative. You know how much energy it takes to be positive all the time? It's impossible. At the level of vibration, energetic vibration, to be positive all the time, that's not what it's about. It's about, I'm upset because this happened. Awesome. I'm sad because this happened. I hear that. I know if I was in your situation, I would be sad too. And what do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with the sadness? What do you want to do with the thoughts that are less than favorable? What do you want to do with the uncomfortable situation? What do you want to do with the email response you get from support that is not what you wanted to hear? What do you want to do with all of this? The first thing that I said that resonated with Brian was the basic premise that I follow, which is anything that upsets me is about me. Anything that upsets me is about me. That's not to say that the behavior is okay, but the upset part, that's mine. Those of you who had kids, you know, when your kid says to you, Daddy, Mommy, you made me cry. I'm very quick to say to my daughter, it sounds like Daddy said something to you that reminded you of something that's happened before, and your reaction was to cry. I didn't make her cry. So none of us never really learned that as kids, right? We always learned that things happen to us because other people did it, right? But I come back to the same principal point, which is leadership is responsibility. Nobody knocks me off my game unless I choose to go there. Nobody. Nobody knocks me off my game. I do. I get angry about something that happened. I may have a reason. I have a right to have that feeling, that experience. But at the end of the day, have any of you ever developed a solution personally or professionally in your business where you're in reaction mode and you're highly reactive in an emotional state, and you would go and you attempt to make a logical decision? There's no logic found in emotion. There's just no logic found in emotion. So the opportunity is to be able to take responsibility because you want to learn to lead yourself so that you can lead other people. And you want to do it in a highly conscious way. That's the training program that we're going to provide for you guys. That's what it's going to be. If you want to lead, if you want to get to that next level of leadership, if you want to excel and learn so much more about yourself, to be able to self-identify, to be able to self-assess, to be able to work with yourself and heal what you believe ails you or what challenges you, so that you have proof that it's possible now that if you could do that, that you could support other people in doing the same thing. So we got to agree, absolutely 100% have to agree, that disillusionment is a metric. It's an awareness point. Upset is an awareness point. Frustration, anger, disappointment, stuck. It's a point at which you can, if you choose to, assess where you are, assess what it is that you're falling into, assess what old stories are coming up for you. Your ability in that moment to make a decision about how you want to show up. Now, I believe the people who stay, the people who go through the training program, will see not only how this supports them in growing their business, but how it supports them with their kids and how it supports them with their spouse. And if they're in a job, how it supports them in their job. That's the goal. Because all too often we want to look at it and go, oh, I can't believe it. You know, something must be wrong with me. I'm having a negative thought. Eckhart Tolle just talks about, like, just observe the thoughts. Oh, wow, just thinking about putting the cat in the microwave. You have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. There's a strong likelihood at some point you thought of something bizarre like that. Just observe it. Oh, that's interesting. Remember how I use that line? Oh, that's interesting. I say that line God knows how many times a day. Because it reminds me that I'm observing what I'm thinking, that I'm not my thoughts. I'm observing what I'm feeling, that I'm not my feeling. Is it resonating? Making sense? Am I missing anything, Kelly, that you think would be supportive?
I'm trying to write as fast as I can. That was really, really good. I love it. I think Chrissy and I were talking about this in Utah. We're like, we got to be there, whether it's the invite only or if it's the sign up quick. We're like, okay, just tell me so I can like speed dial myself there. I can't. I'm really looking forward to this. I'll have to admit, when I first listened to the training or you know, the LCD training, I kind of thought of it as a negative until I further listened. And so like my initial thought was it was like, oh gosh, he's taking this to school here. Like, it's like, you know, it's like a bad thing. And then I realized we all are disillusioned at some point. I mean, not even in your own job, but like in your marriage, in your with your children, like every day, like in certain things. And I think it's like you said, it's just like the awareness of, hey, okay, I'm going down this road. What am I looking to do? Like, am I just gonna have a bitch fest today, or you know, is it gonna be poor me, or am I gonna be mad? It is more of like an awareness of the activity and the actions and the thoughts, not necessarily a negative thing. I think maybe the negativity is the disillusionment. To think that you're never going to get disillusioned is being disillusioned. You know what I mean? I think we all,
That's right.
on our best day, everybody's going to be there at some point. So it's just recognizing, hey, you know, yes, I can be disillusioned at times, or maybe my thinking right now is not, you know, where it should be, and to not think of it as a negative, just to be aware of it and kind of decide where you're, like you said, which road you're going to take down.
Well, and I think, look, that's, to me, if I can support people in demystifying the biggest challenge, and I went through this in October of 2000, I went through a men's weekend. And men, very different than women, men tend to isolate. We don't talk to other men. We tend to, like, the thoughts we have when our head hits the pillow at night, we somehow think are exclusive to us. So I went on this men's weekend, and I literally saw 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old men having the same thoughts that I have. And I was like, whoa, I thought I only thought like that. So what happens is that you start to isolate because you think there's something wrong with you. And then women do it in a different way because I always say men, for the most part, not all men, I want to be careful here, but men are raised in general to either win the football game or lose the football game. There's not a lot of in between. If I'm working with a couple and I say, you know, so how's everything going? And the guy will go, sure, good, yeah, everything's going, yeah, good, yeah. And I'll say, what's going on for you? And she'll say, well, I really like work. I'm really stressed out about being a mom. I'm really angry with my husband, which is why we're here. You know, like there's a range, right? So my goal is, and what I think I was overemphasizing it on this call, and I want to keep overemphasizing it, is I want to demystify this idea that somehow you have to be positive all the time. The learning happens when you come up against your resistance. The way you get better is when you are stuck and you're able to go, God, this sucks so good. What do I want to do with this? Wow, I'm running this old story about why I can't because this is what happened before. And if I keep running that story, then guess what? That which you fear, you recreate. Or, oh, here's an opportunity to just maybe do it differently. If you want to do something differently, you have to apply new tools. You have to apply new directives. You have to apply new behaviors to be able to create something different. Otherwise, you're just going to keep recreating the past in the present moment, which is what you said you were done with.
Yeah.
So I want to demystify that so that people understand that, like, you know, feelings are okay. Uncomfortable feelings are okay. Love and loss. Like, if you are here in this lifetime to love, guess what? You're also going to be here and you're going to lose things. You're going to lose people. You're going to experience loss. You want to be grateful about stuff? I teach my kids gratitude and practice of gratitude, right? I also know that with the choice of gratitude comes grief. It all exists on the same line. Just one's on one side, one's on the other. I wouldn't choose it any differently. I wouldn't want to be indifferent to the experiences that I'm having with losing my mom. I didn't need to show up in Salt Lake and pretend that, like, you know, I've got it all together. I was like, this is really interesting. Sitting here in a meeting with like a whole bunch of other adults and I feel like I'm 10 years old and my mom's dying. What am I doing here? And then all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and starts asking me a question. And all of a sudden I go, oh, wait, I better get back in my adult body here. Answer this question. But I observed it. I didn't judge it. What's wrong with you? Right? I didn't beat myself up. I didn't bully myself. But guess what? Even if you do that from time to time, even if you bully yourself, even if you criticize yourself, that's an awareness point. There's an opportunity for you to grow from that. Sometimes I say to, you know, so I'll hear myself bullying myself. I did that, you know, a couple weeks ago when I was doing the opposite hand writing. And I was writing out my innate statement. And Chad, you know this one, right? I'm writing out my innate statement, and all of a sudden I'm like, I go to make a P, and all of a sudden I hear this voice go, that's the best you can do to make a P? Who was that? Now, I can sit there and go, gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is what I do for a living. I'm supposed to have it all together. Like, I'm not supposed to come up against my resistance. I'm supposed to teach other people. Like, no, I'm like a work in progress like everybody on this call. So I looked at that point of judgment and go, oof. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to slow down a little bit, and I'm going to make the P, and I don't care what it looks like. The P is going to be what it's going to be. I don't know. So, but I gave myself permission to go, oh, that's really interesting. It's really interesting. I'm judging myself over making a P with my non-dominant hand. Like, it just happens. You ever see people get up on stage and they go, oh, God, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. So nervous to be up here, you know, whatever. And then they're freaking brilliant. Because they're not really nervous. They think they're scared because it's the same chemicals that get released into your body when you're excited and when you're scared. It's the same chemicals. So they just misinterpreted, misunderstood that is the case. That's the key. Demystify the experience. That somehow that it has to look a certain way, that it has to come off a certain way, that it has to be this level of perfection. It just is what it is. It's like where you are right now, right? Where you are in consciousness right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. You read a book, love the book, oh, it was a great book, and then a month later you pick it up and sit in the corner and go, I'm going to read that book again because that was good. And you read it and you get like page 9 and all of a sudden you're reading something and go, this was not in here before. This was not here. How did that happen? Because it's a reflection of where you're at in consciousness. So my school is in session. Consciousness is not a destination and transformation is not a straight line. And once you choose it, go along for the ride. It's going to be a blast. So that's what we're going to do with kind of blowing up the disillusion. We're going to probably change the name, to be honest with you. I think we're going to change the name. The Disillusion Prover is a little bit, we don't want to necessarily stir that in people per se. But the idea is that is that it's a resistance point. It's a plateau. And we all have them and we all get them. And you know what? When you transition and leave your body, you'll be done with that. But as long as you're here, and I always say, like, consciousness isn't for everybody, otherwise everybody would be doing it. There's plenty of people that I know that are just unconscious. They're just addicted to their stories, and that's the way they want to go. And, you know, every day is going to look the same as the day before and the day before and the next day. And I've got a friend I literally talk to probably every 5 or 6 years. And it's like I call him up and because I just want to hear his voice. And he'll tell me this, like his life is exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. I don't judge it. That's just what he wants to do. Okay. That's a safety factor here. If you want to be safe here, you know, be safe. You know, whatever that looks like for you. If you want to go for something bigger and be the best version of yourself, you've got to be willing to own those parts of yourself that are less than stellar and actually get excited about them, because they will propel you someplace better if you're committed to it. And if you want to run the stories and you want to finger point, and you want to blame, and you want to judge, and you want to find ways to disappear, you will. We used to call that in the men's movement going back to sleep. Men go back to sleep. They're like, yeah. And all of a sudden they're like, hello, where are you, man? Hello, return my call. Like, they just disappear. Because it's just like they took it to where they could take it, and then they just couldn't take it anymore. But consciousness requires you, if you want to be a part of this company and really grow, it's going to require you to know that you're going to come up against those places. I come up against them all the time. I just understand them as okay. I just understand them as the opportunity to teach me something. And that's what I want people to understand for themselves, is to go, well, we had an opportunity for my own growth and healing because of this resistance, not because everything is going smoothly. I mean, if you, like I said, you know, the challenge is out there. If you can figure out a way to get everywhere you want to go without coming up against your resistance, that's going to be one hell of a book. And I'm going to make some serious coin on that one.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh,
thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Gosh, thank you so much. Thank you for pouring into us and sharing that with us. I'm excited about it. I mean, I love it. it's like I said in the beginning when I first started hearing about this, I was nervous. I'm like, oh, and then I started saying, oh God, he's talking to me. There's like, oh, he's looking right at me. Like then you start saying, oh my this, my this, my this, and you start thinking all these crazy negative things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, get a grip. You do just have to see it as like we're all working on things. Like we're always coming up against something, and it is a total growth. Like if you can face it and deal with it and decide what you're going to do with it, it can be really awesome. Because I know for me, over the last probably month or 6 weeks, I really had to it was like a cornerstone. I was like, okay, this road or this road. And it took me a minute, it took me a couple minutes. And then I thought, okay, I'm done with that. Like I'm getting this is my new tape. Like this is what I'm doing. And it's not going to be a negative. It's going to be a positive. So it was just kind of like, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm just going to deal with it, assess the issue, and kind of pick my path. And so now I'm just really excited about the whole LTD. Before I was like not thrilled. I'm like, oh gosh, this is gonna suck, But when you look at it, like I really feel you see Brian's heart in it, and it's just me. It's a total difference. It makes a total difference. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. All of us want to be, in those chairs. So I hopefully we get a chance to sit in that and kind of experience it firsthand. So. Thank you so much. I love that you joined us tonight, and I love that you poured into us. I really appreciate it. We value you so much, and I know that it takes time away from your business and your family. So, we want to honor that and say thanks. Thanks for doing it for us.
No, it's my great pleasure, and you guys are a part of my team. I talk to people that are part of my team. I talk to people that are not, because I kind of look at it as a we. Right, as a company.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Sometimes I just will spend time with somebody because I realize that they're in a position of great potential influence and inspiration. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make sure that we don't lose them, unless it's in their path to be lost.
Right.
So, we just keep pouring into each other. So I get as much from this, if not more, than maybe some of the people listening and get from hearing me. So, so thank you.
Well, awesome. It's a win-win. And thank you guys. I appreciate you all jumping on and joining us and listening and being coachable, because that's what it is. I mean, being willing to get on and listen and taking, an hour or so out of your evening, that's being coachable. So that's awesome. And I really value and appreciate you guys for doing that. So thank you. So you guys all have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great one. We'll talk. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.